Okay, so I'm turning up this microphone, but we also have this speaker here, and I don't really love the feedback. Can you hear me in the back? Okay. Okay. If I pull it too close, it goes down. So good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. This is a really nice crowd to see for this forum. My name is Barbara Bennett, and I'd like to welcome you tonight to the League of Women Voters Candidate Forum for Warren County Commissioner. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan political organization that encourages the informed and active participation of citizens in government to shape better communities. After study and member agreements, the League supports or opposes issues, but never supports or opposes candidates or political parties. Our forum this evening is for candidates for Warren County Commissioner, for which the primaries will be held on Tuesday, May 16th. Voters who are registered as Republican or Democrat will have an opportunity to cast ballots for 3 candidates. There are 7 candidates for this office in the primary election, and 6 Republicans and 1 Democrat. All of them plan to be here this evening, but Tricia Durbin had to drop out at the last minute due to a back injury. And she sent her regrets with this message. I want to thank the League of Women Voters and the Warren Public Library for hosting tonight's event. I wish my fellow candidates well as they discuss the future of our community and what they feel they bring. County commissioners are elected every 4 years. They're responsible for policymaking, fiscal management, and the administration of county affairs. The commissioners serve on the salary, prison, retirement, and election board, as well as a variety of other boards such as the Transit Authority and the Conservation District Board. Their responsibilities are many. It includes elections, assessments, human services, corrections, planning and zoning, emergency services, transportation, tax records, and community development. Beginning in 2024, each commissioner will be paid a salary of $58,893.34, and that will increase 3% per year in 2027, when the salary will be $64,354.34. We will start tonight's evening by having every candidate answer 2 that were submitted to them in advance. Each candidate will have 90 seconds to answer each question. Subsequent questions will be answered by pairs of candidates. The first of the pair will have 60 seconds to answer the question, and the second of the pair will have 30 seconds to respond. Pairings will be rotated, as will the order of answering. At the end of the forum, each candidate will also have an opportunity to respond to a question they did not get to answer, and also to make a 1-minute closing statements. The questions that will be asked tonight include questions developed by the League of Women Voters, questions submitted in advance through the League website, and questions submitted from tonight's live audience. For those of you in the audience, Levi cards are available to write down your question. Please gesture for an usher to obtain a card or to have your question picked up. The wording will be reviewed by at least 2 League members to make sure that the questions are applicable to all of the candidates, because we don't know which 2 will be answering, to avoid repeating previously asked questions, and in some cases to combine similar questions from multiple audience members. The candidates in this evening's panel, in alphabetical order, are Will Champlin, a candidate in the Republican primary, Troy Clausen, a candidate in the Republican primary, Jeff Ashbourne, a candidate in the Republican primary, Dan Watts, a candidate in the Democrat primary, Kenneth Camp, a candidate in the Republican primary, and Joseph Aaron, a candidate in the Republican primary. The order of answering was determined just before this forum through a drawing, and so they are sitting in that order from one that looks like at the other end to six. Our timekeepers this evening are Karen Black and Sherry Albrecht. When time is called, we ask the candidates to complete their sentence and then stop. In order to provide all candidates an opportunity to answer questions, it's important that we closely follow this time schedule. We ask also that the audience refrain from applause or expressions of approval or disapproval. We have a lot of people to thank for putting this forum together tonight. We'd like to thank Sally Eaton for the sound system and Jacob for assistance. We wish to thank the Times Observer for their coverage of the forum, and also our local radio station, WRRN 93, WNEAE, WIDU 92.7, and WHUG 101.9 for promoting the event. And thank you especially to Your Daily Local. The forum is being live streamed at www.yourdailylocal.com and on the Your Daily Local Facebook page. If you'd like to view this event after tonight, it will be available for viewing on the League of Women Voters website, which is, this is a tricky one. It's the initials for the league, so it's LWVWC.org, the League of Women Voters of Warren County. Before we start, I also want to take a moment to remember Ellen Russell, who passed away this March. Ellen was a 50-year member of the League of Women Voters, and she led our candidate forums for years. And we'd like to dedicate this evening's forum to Ellen's years of service in the community. At this time, I will pause for 15 to 30 seconds to give people a chance to turn off their cell phones and to give media organizations a chance to take photographs if they'd like to. We do this to prevent distractions as the forum gets underway. Thank you so much for your cooperation. Thank you. So now we'll start with questions. The first question was submitted to the candidates in advance. Each candidate will have 90 seconds to answer. And we will start with Mr. Clausen. If new resources become available to the Warren County budget, what one area of county services do you feel most needs attention for resources and why?
All right, well, thank you everybody for coming out, and thank you to everybody for this great event. I'm glad to be kicking it off here, Maddie Reed-Off. This question is a little tricky, at least in my mind, because whenever there's been money available to the government, there's usually strings attached, which kind of dictate what you can use it towards. So I'm not going to cheat and not answer the question. So I'm going to answer the question as if there were no strings attached, we could literally put it wherever we wanted to put it. I believe the most impact, now again, I'm going to caveat that with saying throwing money at an issue is not necessarily because it's all that. So before you throw money anywhere, you want to make sure that you can do it better, more efficiently without money. Okay. Answer the question. I believe human services would provide the most impact. Again, it reaches so many areas of our community. It reaches people that live in poverty. It reaches low income. It reaches developmental disabilities. It reaches early intervention with youth from 0 to 3 and having a young daughter, how important that can be early on support. Again, drug and alcohol. You hear all the time there's a lot of drug issues in the county. Again, throwing more money at it is not necessarily going to solve the problem. But again, I believe it's going to get the most impact. There's also children and youth. And again, this will be Mental Health Month, Awareness Month. I believe whether you throw money at it or not, the stigma of mental health needs to be changed. There is nothing wrong with talking about mental health. Okay, that's it.
Thank you. As county commissioners, I believe we are responsible for the health, safety, and welfare of the of our citizens in the community. I would advocate for the continued investment in our 911 communication system. Phase one was funded not too long ago to purchase P25 radios for emergency responders. Phase two had to be cut short because of the lack of funding, but that would have been for the paging system. Currently, the state police have a StarNet system that is used for radio communication, but pagers cannot be used on that type of a system due to bandwidth limitations. Our existing communication system that we currently have in place does have some deficiencies, and those include obsolete equipment, radio dead spots in areas such as the barn and Sheffield areas, Candy and Kitty. Paging tower upgrades are needed, including things like grounding, structural needs, interconnectivity, either by microwave or fiber. The equipment sheds lack climate control, and tone sent to volunteer fire departments and tornado sirens are done by antiquated equipment. In 2022, the outdoor recreation added $14 billion to the $40 million to the Pennsylvania economy. We're working to attract outdoor recreation enthusiasts here to public to them and ourselves to provide state-of-the-art emergency response communication systems.
Thank you. Mr. Perrin?
One of the main issues we're facing right now is mental health with a lot of our youth. Struggling day to day with holding jobs, finding jobs, things of that nature. Talking to a lot of the community, we have definitely our share of kids out there, and I say kids, I mean young adults, unable to handle their emotions, deal with adversity. I think they could really benefit from some kind of programming based around that. I mean, after all, they are our future. So taking care of them takes care of our county. And working with different school districts, different agencies, such like that, I believe that some programming could be put in place that would be relatively easy and fairly cost effective. Thank you. Good evening. I'd like to thank the Legal Aid voters for this great event, and for those of you who are here. The county is facing a lot of what I believe are critical issues in the near future. One of them, and I will address a couple of them. One is our broadband, as you have, I'm sure, read, that is a project that our current Board of County Commissioners have taken on. Supposedly, there are 6 shovel-ready projects ready to go. And I don't know what they are, to be honest with you, because I think that there's a messaging issue currently getting information out to the public. But with that being said, I support the broadband project, provided that it is cost effective. What I mean by cost effective is the end user. If you look at some of our surrounding counties, the amount of money that they have spent for the number of subscribers, it's not feasible as it stands right now.
Mr. Ashburn?
Thank you and good evening. I want to thank everybody for their attendance tonight. Thank the League of Women Voters for this forum. I want to thank those who are viewing us also on live stream tonight. I'm going to elaborate a little bit on what Mr. Foster said as far as health and human services. I want health and human services to be enhanced because I talked to some people who feel they have not got what they wanted out of health and human services. And I would like to see them coordinate more with law enforcement to eliminate drug use within the county. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Again, thank you to the League of Women Voters and all of you who are here, the other candidates. For prudent and conservative families and organizations, the easy answer for new resources is to pay down debt or pay off debt. However, there is something I have witnessed about government and the private sector that just rattles my conservative bones. Your agency, department, or office gets a memo or directive that says you need to spend X number of dollars by such and such a date. I assume you know how and why this game is played. I'll also assume that you, like me, would rather that public resources were more responsibly allocated and spent. To the question of what one area of county services needs additional resources and why. My response is that outreach has the potential to give us the biggest bang for our buck. Maybe what I call as outreach, you might call promotion. In any case, this is the one area of effort that can support existing and new initiatives that address our issues of population, employment, industry, law enforcement, EMS, fire departments, youth programs, tourism, medical services, recreation, housing, and hospitality. The evidence that we and those who came before us have done well is that most residents declare they don't want to live anywhere but here. More needs to be done. The evidence that more outreach and more promotion is necessary is found in our concerns for Warren County's future. Please support me so that we can stop.
Thank you. The second question was also submitted to candidates in advance. Each candidate will again have 90 seconds to answer. This time we will start with Mr. Lutz and we'll work our way down to the end with Mr. Kaufman.
Thank you. My apologies for not welcoming everybody here today, but this guy did it for me.
If you let me read the question first.
Absolutely.
They know the questions. But you don't know the questions. What are the most significant barriers preventing citizens from entering the workforce in Warren County? And what are some of the potential solutions that you as county commissioner are willing to consider to resolve these issues?
I'll first start with what we can't do. We can't force people to work. Unemployment and public assistance programs are not within our control. We can't control wage rates paid by employers. Two things that I hear from employers are, number one, lack of a trained workforce, and number two, failure of potential candidates to pass a drug test. As commissioners, I feel as though we should advocate for the education opportunities at the local and regional level. We have a host of education facilities here in Warren County and also the Region 3 Northwest Commission. And then secondly, to attack the drug abuse problem, secure funding aimed at curbing substance abuse and recovery programs that are administered by the appropriate local agencies.
Thank you, Mr. Perry.
I'm going to have to agree with Mr. Lutz on a lot of what he said. I see four main issues, though, from the substance abuse, child care, transportation, and skills and education. While I agree we can't force wages or anything of that nature, I do think that there could be the potential to work with different employers, maybe for a tax rebate benefits, something to that effect, to work with, develop on a training basis, apprentice basis, something to that effect. As for the transportation and substance abuse, those are going to be difficult to tackle. I think our county does a pretty good job with the substance abuse, keeping on top of things. Potentially add in more therapy or something around that. With the skills and the education, it would be nice to see almost like a technical school or something like that in the area that offers training into jobs that we have locally: truck driving, nursing, welding, construction, automotive repair, diesel mechanic, things of that nature. I think that could be used both as a recruitment tool and a retention tool and solve some of the water problems. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. President?
Yes. I believe that one of our biggest issues or obstacles, the barrier, currently is the drug problem in Warren County. I think it's very telling when there are 21, 22 pounds of methamphetamine taken from one location. Now, keep in mind, this is not a mom and pop operation. This is cartel meth is coming into our county. I believe we need education. I'm proud that I started when I was the sheriff, the school resource officer program, which led to what's called the LEAD program, law enforcement against drugs, which is currently being taught in our schools. And I'm proud of that. However, where there's that amount is telling me that there is a market for it. We went through the bath salts, we went through the crack cocaine, now we're into the meth. And I would support another investigator because we only have a part-time drug task force.
Thank you. Mr. Eklund?
I agree with Mr. Claycamp as far as the drug problems we have in this community as well as everywhere else. That's one thing that's a barrier as far as getting people into the workforce. If they can't perform their job because of drugs, it's not going to allow them to successfully be an employee. I would also encourage that with artificial intelligence entering our scene, we should actually enhance the education in Warren County for those who need technical jobs, and we should enhance employers to come in and give those people technical jobs as well as other jobs. We should somehow find ways to offer companies the incentive to come to Warren County so they can employ these people that are trained in these education fields. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Campbell.
Well, first, the topic of barriers to employment is an important topic. The foundation of Warren County's prosperity is the aggregate of the prosperity of all the citizens. Research and interviews I did going around the county with individuals and businesses. Here are some of the issues I identified that address the question of barriers. Information, infrastructure, qualifications, which speaks to what the previous candidates have mentioned about people who can pass a drug test, qualified for the jobs, matching skill sets, childcare, and transportation. Information. Information can be and sometimes is a barrier to county employment. Let's start by eliminating lousy information. For instance, someone looking online for employment in the county can be directed to the long closed office of 24 Market Street. Let's consider my plan to identify individuals who would love to work and to live in Warren County. Once they're identified, let's stay in touch with them. Infrastructure. Infrastructure matters. For example, there are people in the county and in fact around the country, I know from each other, who could and would enter the Warren County workforce if better, faster broadband were available countywide. Through initiative and much effort, some progress with this issue has been made. I applaud the people involved and I support continued effort for more progress.
Thank you, and Mr. Clausen.
All right, well, probably going to echo a lot of what everybody said. We know there's a lot of barriers to entry. One of the big barriers is job training. This day and age, you have to, we have a small child I work from home. I can stay home and watch myself. Doesn't mean I get a lot of work done sometimes, but that's a huge barrier. Another barrier is the education and transportation. Again, in rural county, transportation is difficult to handle. However, these are barriers. That being said, there are things that can be done. I do agree that the county commissioners have a limited role in this area. However, I know that the commissioners have the ability to serve on the workforce board. The workforce board could bring a lot of federal dollars that are now going to Crawford and Venango counties. Because right now we have a mobile career link. We used to actually have a physical location. What I found out is Warren, if not Northwest Pennsylvania, had one of the most robust and active workforce with CareerLink, and that human interaction that we kind of got away from with the virtuality of the pandemic is huge. There's also a digital divide for employers. Mr. Chamberlain talked about, broadband. Not all employers have the same broadband access. The same with the employees. You can search online, but if you can't get online, you can't search for these. The biggest thing is collaborating what resources are out there and giving the employees access to the employers as well.
Thank you. As we move into the rest of our questions, the timing for the answers will change. So these are questions that the candidates have not seen in advance. The first candidate will have 60 seconds to reply, and the second candidate will have 30 seconds to comment or respond. Although every candidate will not answer every question, candidates have an opportunity to incorporate comments on questions they did not get to answer in their closing statements. Our first question is for Mr. Clausen and Mr. Fox. What is your experience with preparing and or authorizing budgets, and how would your experience help you as a county commissioner?
All right, back to the mic. Well, personally, I've been very impressed with the county, and I run my own tax and accounting business. My own man, my one-man show, so I do have to live within a budget. Also, I have in my 10th year on Youngsville Borough Council. Every year we put a budget together. We have workshops. We can all work as a team to create a good, well-rounded budget for everybody. Again, that's experience I have. I have 10 years of public government budgeting experience. I also have the skill set involved for personal and business budgeting. So I believe that is one of my strong suits that I can definitely bring to the county and help make sure our taxpayer dollars are being spent wisely.
Currently, I'm county planning director, and I've served in that position for the last 25 years. Part of my responsibility is to set up the budget for my department. I have to meet with the county commissioners every fall and go over each item, line item, one at a time. I'm proud to say that I've always held within my budget, and we've been able to accomplish all of the activities that we set out to at the beginning of the year, following that budget and being planned for the office.
Thank you. Our next question is for Mr. Parent and Mr. Lightman. Please explain your plan for implementing both the countywide reassessment process and the resulting changes in tax liability for Warren County citizens.
First off, I gotta be honest, I think it's bad time to do any kind of tax assessment. I know we've been pushing it down the road and kicking the can and all, but right now, the way the economy's going and such, I feel it's something that we can hold off on, wait. Basically, I think at this point in time, it'd be more beneficial to all the residents to have money coming into their pockets instead of going out, especially on things like taxes. We're taxed enough on everything else, so yeah, I guess in my perfect world, I would try to push it off again.
The reassessment contract has been signed. So, and my understanding is it's being paid for from the CARES Act funding. I think one of the issues is that the county has to move forward with it because they have no defense to a potential lawsuit from the school district or from a municipality. And to me, the main thing that needs to occur
is the messaging to the public to keep them informed.
Thank you. Our next question is for Mr. Eshborn and Mr. Champlin. If you are elected Warren County Commissioner, would you consider that to be your primary full-time job? How many hours per week would you do in offices at the Warren County Courthouse?
I certainly do offer that as a full-time job. I will work, can you hear me? I will work 40 hours a week. That's not saying I'll be at the courthouse all the time, because I plan on attending township meetings, city council meetings, questioning constituents, addressing everybody's concerns and how to address them. So I will not be at the courthouse 40 hours a week, but I will be active 40 hours a week as far as doing my job. My advice to that is, you're getting paid a full-time salary, you work a full-time job. Thank you.
To the question of any conflicts, I don't currently have any business. I've wound everything else down. So my full attention will be given to my position as a county commissioner. Continuing as he did, I've been going around the county. That's something I continue to do as a commissioner. I've learned an awful lot by doing so. I don't know, it takes 40 hours a week. I figure at least 5 hours a week fishing and talking to folks counts. So I guess that's what I have to say.
Thank you. The next question is for Mr. Glotz and Mr. Perrin. What do you think are the most pressing law enforcement concerns in Warren County? What can county commissioners do about these concerns, and how would you propose to address them as commissioner?
That's a difficult question to answer because I don't have as much direct involvement in the law side of county government. However, as a commissioner, it would be my obligation to meet with the sheriff's department and the police department to learn all of the issues that they are facing. I can say, though, that we definitely have a drug problem here in the county that needs to be addressed. There are shortages of officers on several fronts, and it's not an easy solution. We're definitely going to need help from state government as well in order to solve these problems. But there are several problems out there that do need to be addressed.
Mr. Perrin?
Say it, had to be do with the drug issues, helping establish some kind of a task force or such, or just even supporting or encouraging.
Thank you. The next question is for Mr. Champlin and Mr. Clausen. As county commissioner, what can and would you do to address drug abuse in Warren County?
Well, the issue of specifically what a commissioner can do with legal footing, I don't know. We have a real issue with a border, and right north of our border, marijuana is legal, not legal here. That's a challenge for the county. As a commissioner, I support the existing drug task force, law enforcement, state police. Let's see, how much time do we have? Okay, thank you. It is an issue. It's an issue for our young people. It's an issue for our community, and it's something that we haven't. No communities completely addressed it successfully. All we can do is try.
Pretty much this goes back to human services. I would refer to them as a commissioner. They're experts in the field. They're going to probably ask us and tell us what we can do to help them solve this crisis and education of everybody else. You don't realize that you can't solve the problem until you don't exist. Again, of the rural community, I don't know if you're ever going to solve a drug problem. just have to deal with some of that. But as a commissioner, we just don't advocate for computing services to do everything they can to stop drug problems.
Thank you. Our next question is from Mr. Clayham and Mr. Ashburn. Is there a domestic terrorism threat to Warren County? If so, what is it, and how can county commissioners mitigate the threat?
How we can mitigate that, this is important. Our EMA, our law enforcement, is there a potential for domestic target? Sure. I don't know how you can say that it's not. We have facilities that are important in our county, but we need to support our EMA, our law enforcement. Thank you.
No matter where you reside, whether it's rural, urban, or anywhere, there is a possibility of a domestic terroristic threat, no matter where you're at. As a commissioner, I would get together closer to law enforcement so we can solve this problem to the best of our knowledge. And I know we may not be able to do it completely because domestic terrorism is something they keep hidden until it actually happens, until it's too late. So we gotta keep that from happening if we can. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to have our first question from the audience tonight, and keep them coming because we're a little ahead of schedule. The next question is from Mr. Clausen and Mr. Perrin. This questioner is concerned with the pay gap between union and non-union jobs in Warren County. How can we address this gap or otherwise work to make pay more equitable throughout the county?
Well, first thought on this issue would be we would have to reach out to the chamber of the business and industry to see what they have to say. They can maybe create a group of employers that could come to the table and maybe figure this out. Again, my wife has worked two jobs. One was a union and one was not, so I've really experienced both of them. I mean, as far as forcing pro-union all the way or non-union all the way, I don't know again if the commissioners have that authority. What they can't do is advocate and talk to all the employers in the region. Again, as we train our workers and as we educate our workers, they're going to be on a higher wage whether it's union or not. So really it's about bringing those stakeholders to the table and letting them know we know these issues and seeing what we can do to help solve those issues.
Mr. Perrin?
No,
No, sorry.
I believe this is a difficult issue to address. Biased pay scales, however you want to look at them, they are everywhere. The issue is when you go into union negotiations and under contract, and then outside of contract, non-union workers, that's a tough one.
Thank you. Our next question is for Mr. Champlin and Mr. Block. What plan do you have for stabilizing or reversing the long-term population decline in Warren County? Please describe your vision of who the players are in marketing the county to increase industry and business, more skilled labor for business, family residences, and tourist destinations.
Take note of each of the issues that are being addressed by this one question.
Would you like me to repeat it?
Please.
What plan do you have for stabilizing or reversing the long-term population decline in Warren County? Please describe your vision for who the players are in marketing the county for an increase in industry and business, more skilled labor for business, family residences, and tourist destinations.
Okay, it seems the question covers just about everything, housing, population, the qualifications of the workforce. and stabilization. I moved to Warren County in 1990. At that time, the population was about 47,000, or 45,000 officially. It's now down to around 37,000. I've got 30 seconds to tell you how we can get those 9,000 people back. My vision is simply the outreach. You travel, you hear that some place is the best kept little secret, or some event is the best kept little secret. My vision is that Warren County become the best known asset in northwestern Pennsylvania. Thank you.
That's a really difficult question to answer. It's not unique to Warren County. We're seeing this all through western Pennsylvania where there are population losses. Things that have contributed to that are out migration. We have more deaths than we had at first. Families are not as large as they used to be 30, 40, 50 years ago. It's going to take a group effort from folks like the Chamber of Business and Industry, connectivity with high-speed internet and so forth, as well as all the agencies coming together to kind of give us some sort of a motto, but a catchphrase to folks in the region.
Thank you. Our next question is for Mr. Eshborn and Mr. Lisby. The county commissioners serve as the county board of elections, on the county board of elections. Do you think that the 2020 election in Warren County was administered and audited in such a way to ensure the integrity of the results? And if elected, would you plan to make changes at the county level in the way that the 2024 election is administered and audited?
I think changes should be made at every level, the county level, the state level, and the federal level. I do believe the 2020 election was not an honest election. I'm not saying that it was stolen from the president, but I do think there was infidelity, and the 67 districts are under petition for improving the electoral process. And I was asked to go to that meeting where they signed petitions, and they explained exactly what was going on, and where they found ballots where they shouldn't be, and where they found mail-in ballots that had people's names on them, and the names were torn off, and they were put in the box, so nobody had no idea who that was, and it could have been done twice. And that's not integrity in the election process. That's just not integrity whatsoever. Thank you.
I believe that we do need a better system, not locally. I think that our election office does a fantastic job. I don't think I know there have not been any issues with that office. However, I believe that federally, that in a national election, that there does need to be improvement, but not at the local level. I think that Lisa Rivet has done a fantastic job, and I think that our current director of elections has done a fantastic job.
Thank you. Our next question is for Mr. Parent and Mr. Bloss. The county commissioners are responsible for providing mental health and mental retardation services to county residents. Does the present system meet the needs of our residents? If yes, how, and if no, what aspects need improvement?
I believe that, no, I don't think it's meeting the current needs. I say that because I've been around to some of the different agencies, meet with some different people, having these conversations. I believe there are people falling through the cracks. And again, with a lot of the other issues, I don't believe that this is going to be an easy fix either. One of the, I believe if we start with the kids, we have a better chance of addressing this as a long term, utilizing schools for, kind of picking out the high risk, addressing it from there. I do think we could improve on our programs, and that's one thing that I would personally like to look into if elected.
Mr. Lawrence?
Okay, there are two important things to know. First of all, our system is severely stressed. And secondly, there's a shortage of providers. I think that we need to fix those problems. Some of it is financial, others probably training the workforce and so forth. So we have to come together and actually evaluate where we are willing to sacrifice funding in order to keep up the funds necessary to keep this approach.
Thank you. Our next question is from Mr. Claycamp and Mr. Clausen. The county commissioners manage the county prison. What ideas do you have for containing prison costs and reducing recidivism among those who serve time in prison?
One of the programs when I was the warden, appointed by the county commissioners, and I was also the sheriff, was a work program. What I mean by a work program was that if you were work release eligible, then you could go on a work program for nonprofit organizations. Some of those organizations were municipalities, townships. And the thing that amazed me was that when those inmates that were out of the work programs, they recognized that they have skills and marketable and good skills. And they just needed that encouragement. And unfortunately, that program has stopped, but I would like to see that started again.
I feel like it needs such a further time. We get a couple extra seconds.
Well, I want to be fair. I mean, obviously, Mr. Claycamp has a lot of experience. I would echo a lot of what he says. One thing I would add to that is, again, we're talking about mental health. Sometimes people need mental health treatment and they're thrown to jail and prison. That's not going to help rehabilitation. It's not going to help solve the mental health issues. So one of the biggest things would be focusing on treatment versus.
Thank you so much. Our next question is for Mr. Champlin and Mr. Eschborn. Emergency, fire, medical, and ambulance services in the county have been in crisis for quite some time, but there's no legislative role for county government in solving these problems. As a commissioner, how will you work with the Council of Governments, local governments, and other municipalities to address the crisis?
Given some thought to this issue and what we really need, in my view, and the governor has addressed it recently, is more state funding into the local communities. We don't get enough, we need more, we're going to get some more, still won't be enough. No clear, no clean path to this. It's just it's a tough problem. Lots of communities are facing it. We're doing a better job than some communities. Warren and North Warren don't seem to have any complaints because they have fully staffed services, and people out in the country do sometimes feel their response times are greater than what they would like. Got to do something about it. Thank you.
As far as EMS is concerned, the first thing I would do is enhance the EMS training, make it more readily available and easier to obtain. And as far as the fire departments go, I commend our work for what they did for their fire department. It's no longer going to be on the option block as far as being closed. I think all volunteer fire departments should have a program where they recognize their firefighters because they'd be more apt to want to maintain a firefighter and do a great job.
Thank you. Our next question is for Mr. Blotz and Mr. Claycamp. What do you see as the future of public transportation in Warren County? And how can the commissioners improve access to reliable and efficient public transportation for senior citizens and those seeking employment?
The agency that's responsible for public transportation is the Transit Authority of Warren County. We work closely with that organization. We're members of the board of directors as a county commissioner. Ridership, I'm sure everybody knows, and can see is kind of low, but that's just the nature of the beast. I think that what we need to do is move to smaller vehicles and perhaps look into other options for fuels and so forth to fuel those vehicles. But I think that the best way to solve this is to work closely with the authority board and their director.
I agree with Mr. Klotz. Smaller vehicles, yes. Well, why don't we come up with an appointment type system? To me, that would be, granted, we're gonna need the buses going throughout the county. But why can't we add an additional feature? I think that would be very beneficial for the senior citizens and those in the outlying rural areas.
Thank you. Our next question is from Mr. Ashmore and Mr. Perrin. Warren County is the only local public source of funding for the Warren Public Library. Over time, funding has fluctuated greatly from a peak of more than $500,000 in 1995 to the current level of $225,000, which is actually less than the library received from the county in 1978. What are your thoughts regarding financial support for the county libraries?
My thoughts are to continue local support for the county library. However, I think we should try to get grants from the state because the state will give grants for a lot of other things that are not as important. And the library is important. I don't use the library that much, even though I'm sitting up in this room. I appreciate the fact that I am here. But I just, people still need the library even though they have internet. Some people still resort to the books. So I think the library is very important. Local funding and state funding are the two things that we need. And I think we should just get the ball rolling with the state. Thank you.
I think the libraries are very important and underutilized anymore. I think money could be found every budget. You can always find a couple pennies laying around here or there. They add up quick. I don't see why we couldn't possibly increase just based off the cuts.
Thank you. Our next question is from Mr. Clausen and Mr. Hampton. What type of agricultural enterprises do you see thriving in Warren County? How can county governments help that happen?
Warren County, I'm sure this isn't surprising most people here. There's a lot of agriculture, a lot of farms. One thing I think they can help them broaden out in the future is technology. High-speed internet is essential. Back in 15-16, when I was in leadership in Warren County, we went up to Pine Pond Farm. They have a robot that cleans up the waste of the cows. They have a milking system that is robotic, where a cow goes in, and if it hasn't milked, it kicks it right back out. So that right there, to me, in 2015 and 16, blew my mind. That is here in Warren County, and it has been here for almost 8 years now. I believe that every farm has the ability to utilize that. It's a game changer. I mean, as far as broadband goes, we hear it all. We heard it 8 years ago, we heard it 4 years ago, we heard it again tonight. Enough is enough. There has to be plans put in place to get every resident of Warren County access to high-speed
I spoke to the issue of broadband earlier, an extension of its practicality, usefulness, and need comes out of his response to this question. The other thing that I think we can do that's not being done is giving our farmers better access to markets. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is for Mr. Playkamp and Mr. Champlin. There's a housing crisis in our area for low-income households. As commissioner, how will you help address this?
That's a very good question. I think we need to, keeping in mind that grants are taxpayer money, no matter how you look at it. But we keep building, and I'm gonna say this, but we keep building the housing. We have the towers, we have the Canterbury courts. Maybe we need to shift a little bit of focus to that area and apply for grants or federal grants or state grants. I would think that would be a good place to start looking. Thank you.
My first reaction to this question had to do with young families looking for affordable homes. And I don't know what resources are available to support a young family doing that, public resources. But the one thing we do have is we can perhaps devote some land to the issue so that maybe lots aren't an issue getting the land. It's a problem. I think it's one that needs to be answered by private initiative and not government.
Thank you. Our next question is for Mr. Lutz and Mr. Clausen. What ways will you, as county commissioner, work to encourage increased citizen participation in the various boards, committees, and service organizations that make our communities tick?
Volunteerism today is at an all-time low, and you know you can beg all you want, but sometimes it just doesn't work very well. Oftentimes, best results are if you approach people one-on-one to volunteer to be a member of a certain board or an authority. I want to base that question though to folks who are qualified to serve in that manner, and that's not always the easiest thing either. Public participation is very necessary. We've got a comprehensive plan that we're putting together now. It's going to require public participation in that. And I'm just hoping that we advertise it well enough that folks come out and take advantage of voicing their input and to take advantage of serving on some of the boards that we have in place.
I'm going to echo a lot of what the six I don't have this time, but one of the biggest things that I know is I got asked and I showed up, and then I never left. I served on multiple boards, and I'm not saying that to toot my horn. What I'm saying is I got involved and I get stuck. Now that's not going to work for everybody. The county commissioner can advocate that, and they can be seen. Leaders lead. They lead by example. Again, commissioners are members of a lot of boards. I'm going to continue to do that. For public engagement, it's advertising.
Our next question is for Mr. Parent and Mr. Eshorn. Will you support an on-site career link and unemployment office to be brought back to Warren? And if so, would you fight to bring them back to Warren?
Absolutely, I think that's a great idea. Anything that's going to help get people back into the workforce and engage in productive members of society. Yeah.
I agree, Mr. Kern. They should definitely be brought back. I don't know why they were ever dismissed. The unemployment agency, as well as the work agency, they're very important to any communities, as well as Warren County. We've got to get these things back. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is for Mr. Champlin and Mr. Playkamp. The Economic Opportunity Council is seeing an increase in the need for programs to help young people develop life skills that enable them to maintain employment. What can you do as a commissioner to support or enhance these programs?
As a commissioner, I believe I can get, public voice and public support for the idea. I believe I can contact potential employers so that they can have, sessions with these young people. I don't know what we can do through the school. I know the school does have the center up there. I believe that a public-private cooperation can lead to mentoring programs where young people will be mentored by somebody in business so that they will learn the skills and the work attitudes they need to be successful in the marketplace.
I also would agree, life skills. I guess my daughter is a teacher in the school district, especially. She does life skills. And I think one of the biggest things is to encourage and to direct those individuals in the right direction. And that is done by being available when needed.
Thank you. Our next question is for Mr. Parent and Mr. Clausen. Many issues extend beyond the county boundaries and require the county commissioners to work with neighboring counties, municipalities, and state officials in order to make progress. Which of these relationships requires the most attention from the county commissioner at this point in time, and why?
I'd say at this point in time, I would probably go with the law enforcement. As somebody said earlier about sharing the border with New York there. A couple miles into the border, you got all the marijuana you could ever hope to dream for. Also, we've got the methamphetamines coming across. I think, strengthening with law enforcement.
As far as relationships, what's most important, I believe local would be important first. Again, we hear a lot about let's talk to the state and have them give us money. Being a local government official doesn't happen. It has to be done on the local level. So that's the most important relationship. Again, 10 years on Youngstown Borough Council, I worked with the Council of Governors, working and listening to other township supervisors, et cetera. Those are the important relationships that you have to start with, and then you can build up.
Thank you. Our next question is for Mr. Leckamp and Mr. Voss. Please provide an example of when you brought people together with opposing perspectives and were able to forge a consensus.
I believe I did that every day that I served as your elected sheriff. The sheriff, like the county commissioner, serves all the people. And what you need to do is you need to listen to the people, get their input. Sometimes I think that has been best. We don't always agree, but we have the obligation as county commissioners, the sheriff, or elected official to listen to the people that we serve and that elected us. Mind that's not popular, we're not always going to agree, but we have as elected officials that obligation regardless of Republican, Democrat, or Independent. And I take that very, very serious. I have a open door policy and I will maintain it.
This will probably get a chuckle out of the people, but I'm going to use the example that we had before the planning commission dealing with backyard chickens. There were opposing sides and there were pro sides. And it seemed like it was going to be a nightmare to try to work through this as far as a regulation in the county zoning ordinance. What we did in the end is form a task force made up of individuals who are pro as well as anti, evenly split, and come up with an amicable solution that is satisfactory to all.
Thank you. Our next question is for Mr. Clausen and Mr. Eschborn. We touched a bit on broadband tonight, but this question focuses specifically on broadband. What is your plan to improve broadband or mobile network accessibility in Warren County, and how will you help fund it?
Waiting for that softball to get locked up here. Well, my plan, I've been working on trying to get broadband throughout the county, delivering digital television for the last probably 8 years. I know a lot of the hurdles, I know a lot of the pitfalls. My county-wide plan, surprisingly enough, will cost taxpayers zero. So all those ARPA funds that are put away currently for broadband will go to all the dreams that we talked about in the first question. The plan is there's public-private partnerships that can be formed. There's at least one that I know of, a private equity group that raises money. They've done it in Vermont, other rural areas. They have a track record. People that invest in this type of bond or whatever it is, they get that return 10 years and they're fine with it. Again, the county has vehicles like the Industrial Development Authority that could hold the asset. There's no liability to any agency whatsoever. And again, it's hard to put that into a 1 minute thing, but if anybody has any questions on how I would do that, talk to me after.
As far as broadband goes, I think, of course, everybody in the county can have it. And as far as it goes forward, I would go question constituents, asking them if they're happy with the services, and if not, how they could be improved. And based on their answers, go to the authorities who are setting this up and putting it in their ear and asking them how they can improve it. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question is for Mr. Claycamp and Mr. Perrin. How do you think the county commissioners should choose the commissioner chair?
Historically, it has always been by the leading vote getter. I think that's the way it should be done, is as permission and has worked. I see no reason to change it. Thank you.
I agree with what you said.
This is the perfect time to suggest if anyone has any additional questions, please use your cards and submit them. We still have questions, but this is your last call for getting questions in. Our next question is for Mr. Gloss and Mr. Champlin. What drug treatment is available now in Warren County? Do you know if it's outpatient or residential?
That's an extremely difficult question for me to answer since I really have no experience in that arena. But I think as a commissioner, it's up to me to learn the conversations through the agencies that deal with this sort of thing. And so at this point, that's about the best answer that would be.
In 30 seconds, what I can tell you is if a family has sufficient resources to cover the expense of treatment, drug treatment for family members, it's available. What's not available is public services. What's not available is a lot of people that end up in our jail. They've got mental health issues and drug issues. How do you treat them? We don't.
Thank you. Our next question is for Mr. Eschborn and Mr. Clausen. A former Warren County Commissioner once said, sometimes one of the most responsible things a commissioner can do is raise taxes to meet local needs. Would you ever support raising taxes for some of the good ideas emphasized here?
Question there that As a last resort, we may raise taxes. There may be times where to get something passed, a project taken care of, it may be necessary to raise taxes. But the last thing on my agenda would be not to raise taxes, because people in Warren County, as it is right now, are only living day to day in some instances, and I don't want to see that be jeopardized any more than it is.
I believe in fiscal responsibility. What that means is that the need is there and it's justified. It might have to happen. That being said, I do everything in my power within my personal business budget. Again, if my business costs go up, what must I do? I must raise my income. I'm not saying I'm pro raising taxes, but that's a decision that when we do budgets, we look at what do you have to cut to not raise taxes. And again, if the public is educated on the issue and they know what they're paying for and they're getting results, they usually don't have too many complaints unless you really raise it.
Thank you. Now we have a related question from Mr. Ross and Mr. Eshborn. When it comes time for a budget and you have to make a choice on cuts, what do you feel you would where do you feel you would definitely not eliminate funding and why?
You have to evaluate the services versus the needs versus the resources available. And I think that what you have to do is take a look at everything as a whole and then begin to evaluate and analyze what it is that you can live without, maybe short term or long term, and then make your decisions based on that analysis. But we all know that every one of us depends on services that are provided in one way or another. And it's very difficult to say one person, your service is as important as another. So when it comes to cuts, it's really a difficult thing to do.
Two things that I definitely would not cut is number one, funding for law enforcement, and number two, funding for our local Warren Fire Department. These people monumental on January 14th of 2009, they actually saved my home from burning down. Within a period of 6 minutes, they had the road closed off and they had hoses drawn, fighting the fire. Good job, Warren County.
Our next question is from Mr. Clausen and Mr. Brookins. Conservation is the wise use of tools and management to protect and enhance our natural resources. Preservation is the long-term permanent restriction of land use. Which do you see as the more valued approach to land management in Warren County? And how can county government ensure implementation of that approach? Absolutely. Conservation is the wise use of tools and management to protect and enhance our natural resources. And preservation is the long-term permanent restriction of land use. Which do you see as the more valued approach to land management in Warren County? And how can the county government ensure implementation of that approach? Sorry, Mr. Clausen, and then Mr. Brookins.
Personally, I think there has to be a balance struck. Conservation is very important to a lot of people. So is preservation. You can't have this all things. I know conservation, there's been a lot of projects. I live in Youngsville, and been representing Youngsville for 10 years now. Anybody doesn't know about Youngsville, we have a lot of waterways running through Conservation, we had a lot of good projects that have helped with maintaining stream banks that were flooding away and homeowners losing property. With the Allegheny National Forest, I understand preservation, but there's responsible ways to do everything. I think there has to be a delicate balance struck between the two. Of course, it's nice to let a forest grow old. Is that good for the forest? Maybe. So I believe there has to be a delicate balance between conservation and preservation. I know that's kind of a cheap question, that's more important, but again, I guess it depends where you are in the county and what issues you have.
I agree with Mr. Clausen, that there does need to be a balance struck. we have a lot of old growth, timber in our county, which is preserved. However, we do need to strike that balance. Sometimes we do need logging. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question is from Mr. Perrin and Mr. Chamberlain. Will you support oil drilling on county property to bring revenue to the county?
Yes, I would. Reason for that is, I believe part of bringing back our economy and rebuilding the county is one of the main steps we'll be taking. I hate to put it this way, but taking advantage of our natural resources. Gas and oil is one of the prime examples.
And first, based on what I knew from McKean County, it would surprise me if we, the county of Warren, don't have, aren't getting royalties from oil and gas being drilled, produced on our property. And yes, we're a responsible promoter, responsible drilling, sure. I support it on my own land, so I support it on my own land. Thank you.
Thank you. And our last question before we go into our second question is for Mr. Ashbourne and Mr. Fox. And I need the questions. Put the neighbor. Please give an example of a time when you had to enlarge or set aside your own personal views to serve the interests of a larger group.
I used to be employed by Cummins Incorporated, and I was a leader on the line, and I had situations where I had to step off the line to solve issues outside of the line, and I had to put somebody in my place to do my job while I solved that problem. So I was not afraid to leave the line, I was not afraid to attend to another issue, as long as everything got taken care of in an orderly fashion. Thank you.
Mr. Fox.
In my profession as director of the planning department, we're always faced with controversial issues and needing to solve those oftentimes as quickly as possible. I compliment my staff because I have a group of folks who are very willing to work with anyone who has a concern or a problem. They're never afraid to go above and beyond. The philosophy that I have myself, and seems to work very well.
Thank you so much. At this time, we'd like to give each candidate an opportunity to address a question they did not get to answer. Each candidate will have 30 seconds to respond. And we will start with Mr. Clausen and work our way down the table.
Well, this is kind of difficult. There was a lot of questions. I'll just reach out to the EMS question. Again, you know, local council governments, I was on CAUT Fire Services. My wife's been an EMT for 20 years. She's also now currently an instructor. So I think I have a little bit of experience of what the problems are and how we solve it. And I'll go back to broadband. It solves a lot of issues. It can help with training. It can help with telemedicine, which alleviates some of the resource strain that we have. And then my time's up.
I will expand on the education piece of it. I had an opportunity to tour the Career Center up on the hill back a few months ago as part of the Council of Governments. We had a meeting up there. I facilitated this group and have for the last 18 years. And I was really impressed with that facility. Something like that in Warren, just amazing. As a matter of fact, it made me want to become a student again. Our school district has a lot going for it, as well as the regional education opportunities that we have out there.
say the affordable housing, I think that's a issue better suited for private investors rather than government. I think it could be achieved by finding some investors. Now, of course, there's a lot of regulations in place. I think one of the things we need to take a look at too is possibly deregulating, making it easier to get investors in and get the job taken care
I'd like to address the volunteer fire service and emergency medical services. I am a life member of a volunteer fire department in our county, having put in over 25 years of service. I was also an emergency medical technician and instructor. A couple issues that our volunteers are facing that I see is the state regulation. To be a volunteer firefighter to enter a structure, you have to have 166 hours of essentials, but none of that can be done online. And I think that is an issue.
The question of oil and gas, I definitely think they should be allowed to go for oil and natural gas throughout the Warren County, as well as the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. We need to become energy independent in the Commonwealth as well as the country. Thank you.
Just a quick comment on two questions that were addressed to me earlier. The first is on the countywide assessment. What some people don't realize is it's got to be revenue neutral, and the county is doing the right thing by taking the initiative, because if we don't, some court can order us to do it, and so it won't be on our schedule. And the other thing I'd like to say something about is volunteerism. I've read the statistics, it's way down in the country, lowest level. This county is wonderful because of our volunteers. Go out and watch a softball game, watch the parents, watch the,
Mr. Chancellor, I'm sorry. Sorry.
leave it. They don't love the stuff sign.
You can keep the mic though, because at this time, we're going to give each candidate to get an opportunity to make a 1-minute closing statement. And we're going to start with Mr. Chandler and work our way down.
Well, again, thank you again to everybody. I'm going to try to introduce myself to those of you who don't know me. Church in this diocese, I have served on 2 vestries and as a trustee for St. Barnabas House. Scouting was an over-the-top fundraiser, served as a district commissioner, and for the Cub Scouts, I was a den dad. Board member, several county organizations, Warren County Fair, won 2 blue ribbons, Wall Harris Fellow. I have an extensive professional background in healthcare, business, and finance, including vice president of Northern Outfitters, brokerage, investment banking, and owning and operating a stock exchange seat. I am licensed in Pennsylvania as a registered nurse. Experience and values matter. I'm a lifelong Republican. I'm a fiscal conservative. My message is let's unite and be bold, to conserve what we have, and to ensure our future. Thank you.
I would like to thank everybody for coming tonight. You've been a great audience. As far as commission goes, I do promise I will do it as a full-time job, 40 hours a week. I'm going to repeat that, 40 hours a week or more. And I want to try to get the constituents interested in our local government, so they're not afraid to ask questions instead of saying, well, our input means absolutely nothing. And I want to make sure they're aware that is not true. Get involved in local government. Thank you.
Thank you for everybody for coming out, and thanks again to League of Women Voters. I have 43 years in county government. I understand the issues facing our county. Yes, we have broadband, but we also, one of the questions that I was forward with was taxes. our population has gone from approximately 47,000 to 38,000. We've lost our tax base. We need to be aware of that. We need to be cognizant of that. And as a county commissioner, if we're going to raise taxes for whatever reason, we need to think 25% of our population are senior citizens. We don't want to put senior citizens into a situation where, do I pay my taxes, do I pay for my medication, so pay my gas bill, electric bill, and our young families. And I think we need to stop and think about that as a county commissioner and move forward.
Currently, I gotta say, we're in one of the best counties there is, and we've got some issues. So a lot of these issues have been kicked down the road for decades, and that's unfortunate. And we deserve better. We deserve the full-time offices, and I just don't think we should settle for anything less. Thank you.
I have 33 years in experience in county government, the last 25 as the county planning director. For 21 years, I served as the 5-county chair of the Transportation Advisory Committee, responsible for planning and programming dollars that come into Ward County with PennDOT and the 5 counties that are part of our group. I have spent 18 years facilitating the Warren County Council of Governments with a collection of 24 local governments on the 27 that we have. I'm serving as president of the Route 6 Alliance at this time, co-founder of Walkable Warren project, and assisted in the creation of the 12 County Pennsylvania Wild Design Guide. We're almost finished up with the county's comprehensive plan, which covers a little something like this, and it deals with land use, housing, public service, transportation, recreation, and targeted growth areas. I encourage everyone to take advantage of the public opportunities that you'll have to voice your opinions and give us your input when it comes time for that public piece of it. If I could just add, also a Boy Scout leader. And special volunteer.
All right, started off and ended. Again, thank you to everybody here. Thank you for those who put it on League of Women Voters. Thank you to the candidates for coming out. I think this is a very important event. I wish we had more of these, especially when there's a lot of us running. Everybody's seen my ads. They've seen what I stand for. They've seen my experience. They've seen my knowledge. The one big thing that was not discussed tonight that I'm a little upset about is tourism. Tourism is a gigantic part of Warren County's economy now and in the future. I've been on the Visitors Bureau board since around 2014, and I've seen the numbers skyrocket. Tourism is not the answer to everything. It's not the silver bullet. But what we have, not a lot of places have. We talked about old growth forests. We talked about waterways. What's right behind us? The Allegheny River. What's up the road? Lindsay Dam. What's the majority of our county landmass? National forest. Tourism has changed for the better, and we need to continue to promote it. I will do that as a president or vice president of the Visitors Bureau, and I will advocate as a commissioner.
Thank you. On behalf of the League of Women Voters of Warren County, I'd like to thank all of the candidates for participating in the forum this evening. And I'd like to extend a special thanks to the audience who's here joining us this evening. And thank you so much for your questions. Our country has gone to great lengths to sustain the freedoms of our democracy, and voting is one of the privileges of being an American. We urge you to vote on May 16th and to join with the League to ensure informed and active participation in the democracy we hold so dear. More information about the League of Women Voters and opportunities for you to become involved in voter education and voter service can be found on our website at www.lwvwc.org. Or you can ask any one of our members here tonight for more information. Finally, as a reminder, the League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan political organization that encourages active and informed participation of citizens in government to shape better communities. After studying a number of agreements, the league supports or opposes issues, but never supports or opposes candidates or political parties. Thank you so much for coming today. Have a good evening.